Some of my early recollections of Clarence were certainly his humility. The man just had a humility like nobody else I had ever met. He'd be in the trenches with the men that were, whether they were just coming in here off the streets or whether they were being rehabilitated, whatever it was.
He was such a kind and gentle man. He always had a twinkle in his eye and a smile, a very quiet demeanor, and he always really listened to you, whether you were the largest, donor, or whether you were a foundation official, or whether he was working with the people that he served at the rescue mission.
He also said that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, and we were to use them, especially in development work, in that proportion, to listen twice as much as we talk.
He knew so many people. He knew everybody in Syracuse. And he not only knew so many people in Syracuse, but he knew all sorts of people. I think he knew every employee, and he knew most of the customers, certainly all the men in Crossroads who lived here and were in residence here, but a lot of the people who would drop into the shelter, he knew by name.
He knew clients' names, he knew every staff member's name. He called them by name and would say, when people commented, he said, well, who doesn't want to hear their name?
Clarence Jordan was the consummate fundraiser. He could make everybody give, and he never made an ask. I swear, I never heard him make an ask. But he always made donors feel like they could give a lot more and receive a lot more from the gifts that they give.
The thing I remember most about Clarence, besides his love of just fellowship and the strategic ways that he would use a meal to get somebody involved in doing something that they really wanted to do but didn't know they wanted to do until Clarence explained it to him.
Like many others, Clarence would call and say, hey, let's have a meal, let's get together for lunch or breakfast or something. And you typically always knew that there was something going on that Clarence was going to ask for help with. And, it would check you because you knew when you were going to meet with him that there was going to be an ask. You just knew that whatever Clarence was doing, it was the right thing, it was a good thing, and it was certainly to help people far less fortunate than himself and myself.
He also taught in fundraising and development, he taught the value of a thank you note, thank you calls, visits with folks, and sharing with them the importance of their partnership with the rescue mission.
Oftentimes, the development officers and executive directors from many, many charities in Central New York would go on a snowbird trip down to Florida to visit all of our donors. And what was really funny is that I would show up at a donor that would also be a donor to the rescue mission and find out that Clarence had been there 3 days before I got there. So it was a kind of a mutual joke between us that we were both hot on the trail of making sure that Central New York money stayed in Central New York.
Clarence had that vision to set up our Thrifty Shopper stores, build a great shopper network, create a relationship with Wegmans to open donation centers in their parking lots, and that helps immensely to funnel resources, goods to the mission that we can then turn around and sell it and provide life-saving services and shelter and meals and clothing. That's vision.
Even if you didn't have any direct involvement with the rescue mission, you knew Clarence Jordan. You knew the name Clarence Jordan. And you always affiliated with the rescue mission of being the director, the lead guy here at the rescue mission, and for the work that's done here.
You can't ignore the fact that his religious commitment was a cornerstone of his success in his life. And we're all lucky to have associated with a person of that quality.
We've grown up in an era where our heroes have continually failed. And you know, so you almost become, I've become gun shy of anybody that gets lifted up, put on a pedestal, is considered a hero in the community or whatever. I believe Clarence really practiced what he preached and lived it for this community.
The clients loved Clarence. They knew he cared. They knew that his purpose was to help them move forward, and they knew they weren't judged.
One thing that always stuck with me was the resources, whatever was given here at the Rescue Mission, benefited this community. And Clarence was, other than the fact he was a Red Sox fan, he was all about Syracuse, New York, and helping the people here in Syracuse.
Clarence has left a huge legacy in our community, mainly through the Rescue Mission, because you saw all of the things that additional services that he provided. It was not just housing. It was really getting people into the services they need and being fed, you know, physically as well as emotionally and spiritually.
I believe it wasn't a practical matter for him to be able to raise money in this community. I really believe that Clarence had an anointing from God to be able to do the things he did to connect people with the ministry here at the Rescue Mission.
Seeing Clarence, and I hope people understand what I'm saying, is like watching God in a mirror. The character of God was printed on not just his features, but his manner and his absence of reaction and total absence of fear. How many difficult times we all went through together, and how many times we had a chance to observe him. He never gave in to fear. It's a wonderful, wonderful gift that he brings. So if you met Clarence and you knew you saw something of God himself, at least his character.